Knight Rider won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files! I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess Harley Davidson and Robert just didn't roll off the tongue.
And the Robert Man. Yeah, man. Okay. So it's the Other Buddies. This is kind of like
third entry in the Other Buddies.
These are like the other buddies.
Yeah, other buddies.
There's not a lot. Like, there's not a catchy Michael McDonald song in the soundtrack. There is not. This is the 90s. We've entered into the 90s. This is the beginning of the 90s action movies where they really didn't know what they were doing. It was kind of like lazy 80s almost.
It was like they took they misunderstood like all the lessons learned in Tango and Cash and then just made the movie kind of boring.
Well, it's also, they made a lot of really interestingly strange choices.
That is very true.
And as we were watching it, I thought it would make a great, just straight Western. Like, old-timey Western.
Yeah.
Both those guys, great actors. They had a good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
Don Johnson, one of the coolest cats on the planet.
Oh, my God, he's so awesome.
Mickey Rourke back then. Handsome. Great actor. And I love both these guys. Like the first time I encountered Don Johnson as I stumbled as a young man onto A Boy and His Dog, which is a great sci-fi post-apocalyptic weirdo movie.
I still haven't seen that yet. It's been on my list, like literally third on my list for like 8 years.
It's so weird. The dog talks like this. What are we doing here? It's just so weird and so fun. And I saw.
And
then of course Miami Vice, which is one of my favorite.
Everybody loved him because of that. Yeah,
top 5 TV shows of all time.
Oh yeah.
Love that show.
Phenomenal show.
Absolutely changed television.
Yeah.
For the better. Gave TV a grittier, more movie type of.
It was so much more cinematic.
It was like watching a movie every week.
Yeah,
and really cemented and introduced using pop. Music in shows as as a driving force, as an engine for the scene.
Right. Essentially what every single show has done since then.
Now all music videos. And Mickey Rourke, I remember seeing him in Diner and not Johnny Dangerously.
No, he was definitely not in that.
Johnny Handsome, which was really good. And
Pope of Greenwich Village.
Oh, Pope of Greenwich Village, which... They took my thumbs, Charlie. They took my thumbs. Oh, the only thing Eric Roberts was ever good at. He plays such a weirdo.
Yeah.
But, oh, God, such a good movie. And, and a really good actor. Unfortunately, this movie, the thing about Tango and Cash is you had Kurt Russell, who was just charm personified.
Yeah, he was a driving force.
Yes. And you have the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
Just
playing against type, which was interesting.
True, but that's something I was realizing watching this movie yesterday is Sylvester Stallone, just his mere presence makes a movie a movie. You know what I mean? He's like a movie star.
It feels very theatrical.
Yeah. And neither of these guys were movie stars,
No, unfortunately. Don Johnson should have been.
Definitely. And Mickey Rourke was a movie star. This is kind of the end of his, he made a lot of weird, again, probably
he
bad
also,
agents.
made bad choices. Well, he never really wanted to be, anyway, we'll get
into it. But also, you don't have, the thing about buddies and buddy movies is you need like a kind of hyper or charismatic or outgoing character to balance out the cerebral thinking. Quiet.
There needs to be a yin and yang.
This is two yins.
Yeah.
And
it's who could whisper talk the quietest.
It's just like, hey, Harley, what's going on? I don't know, Marlboro. Why don't we go have a drink? It's just
it didn't help any that the sound mix was horrible for this movie.
Yes. But again, there's a lot to like in this movie.
Yeah.
There is a good movie somewhere in here. And again, it's a guilty pleasure. None of these movies this month are amazing films, except for Tango and Cash.
Yeah, which is
I unabashedly love that movie.
Because it just somehow rises to the top, even though it shouldn't have.
Exactly.
But yes.
It's the Donald Trump of movies. It just makes no sense.
It doesn't.
But
somehow keeps being
somehow it's
successful.
super popular.
Yeah.
No. But it's but this, like, it should have been a Western, and they made the really weird choice of making it kind of in the future.
Yeah, it's
Like 4 years in the
4
future.
or 5 years. Yeah,
You know?
but just enough to be like, oh, this could be happening in 5 years.
Never really make a point of it.
But-
the only thing
and
that we
it-
see is like a billboard at the beginning saying the 1996 Plymouth there.
The weird, like, robotic bad guys.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like this movie really seemed like there were a lot of coked out executives.
Yeah.
Just throwing shit at it.
There was really no push, like no direction, and I think that's why Tango and Cash worked, because it was like, yes, we have a plot.
Yeah.
This movie, Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man, literally took like 30-40 minutes for there to even be a plot coalescing.
There's no
like
real.
it just there's
yeah.
no driving force. It was just two guys getting together and being like, oh, we gotta save everybody's bar. Okay.
No real explanation of their lifelong friendship
yeah.
or why they hang together.
I think this movie was just very poorly written.
I agree. I think it was poorly written. I think it was also rushed.
Yeah.
You know, and it again a really interesting, cool concept that would have made a really good straight old Western.
Yeah, I agree.
But still, that's fun. Anyway, let's get into it. I just want to,
This was a movie I had not seen in probably 30 years.
Yeah.
30-ish years. And I definitely had a nostalgia sheen on this movie, because watching it again yesterday, man, I was vacillating back and forth between this is so bad to like, oh, this is entertaining.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw this, it's a guilty pleasure of T. Arthur Cottam, award-winning filmmaker T. Arthur Cottam, who was our Miami Vice guest. Listen to episode 6.
Yeah, long time ago.
Many moons ago. But last time I think he and I watched it, which is great because, you got two guys, guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
you know. And he and I both love Don Johnson. Like, it's embarrassing, our love for him. But and it is this one that I watch all the time? Is this a Tango and Cash?
No.
But when we used to have satellite, this pops up on a Sunday afternoon. And I'll let it run.
When this was on when I was in high school, like if it was on like Showtime and Cinemax all the time, and because it was cheap to get the rights for. But I saw it constantly, and even then there was still stuff I didn't remember watching it again.
Yeah, I mean the things that's the two things that stood out the most to me were the ridiculous trenchcoat mafia.
Oh my god, they were so
weirdo
bizarre.
Machine gunners,
so weird.
Run by one of the lesser Baldwins, and and the graveyard in the airplane graveyard, the shootout in that.
All right, let's get into it. Take yourself back to 1991.
Oh yeah,
March 13th, the U.S. Department of Justice announces that Exxon has agreed to pay $1 billion for the cleanup of the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska, almost 2 years after the spill occurred. Still, to this day, the majority of the spill was never cleaned up.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Exxon
was awful.
They're bankrupt now, aren't they?
No, I think they're still around.
Of course, it's an oil company.
Yeah. June 16th, 4 security guards are shot to death during a bank robbery at the United Bank Tower in Denver, Colorado, United States. The person subsequently charged with the crime was acquitted, and the case remains unsolved.
Because it was Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Yeah. They didn't like killing people.
Well,
yeah. Well, I mean, they had to.
Harley didn't.
Yeah. August 17th to the 20th, Hurricane Bob hits North Carolina and New England, killing 17 people and causing $1.5 billion in damage.
Good Lord.
Yeah. August 23rd, Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, is released in theaters.
A different kind of natural disaster.
And I'm pretty sure they named Hurricane Bob after Bob, the executive that randomly pops in.
Well,
yeah.
We're probably going to hear from him today.
Oh, God. So Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, was written by Don Michael Paul, the man with 3 first names.
Don't trust him. Don't trust anybody with that many first names.
Paul actually started as an actor, making his feature film debut in 1984's Love Lines, starring with Greg Bradford, Mary Beth Evans, Michael Winslow, and Tammy Taylor.
That's Michael Winslow.
Yeah. Yes, it was. No, that wasn't Tammy Taylor?
No.
Okay.
Tammy Taylor, she made noises from a different part of her body.
Oh, okay. All right. Not going there. All right. Paul mostly appeared in B movies with two exceptions. He was in Aloha Summer in 1988, starring Chris Makepeace, Yuji Okamoto, and Tia Carrere, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who directed the Stephen King's It television miniseries.
Nice. And Tia Carrere was also in Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man.
Yeah. He was also in Heart of Dixie in 1989, starring Ali Sheedy, Virginia Madsen, Phoebe Cates, and Treat Williams.
Okay, I remember that.
Movie I've never seen. Those are literally the only two movies I'd kind of heard of.
Okay.
Everything else he did was very awful. Paul was able to do some additional writing in 1989 for the Jean-Claude Van Damme science fiction film Cyborg.
Oh, I love that movie.
That is such a guilty pleasure. After Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man was released, Paul would go back to acting, being cast in a TV show called The Hat Squad in 1992, which ran for one season.
Yeah, I think that was about the guys that were going after the mob.
Yeah. It was essentially the detectives going after the mob. Paul would then start directing in 1996, directing an episode of Renegade and Pacific Blue, two TV shows that sound vaguely familiar.
You know what's crazy is Branscombe Richmond, who played Big Indian, was one of the stars of Renegade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
He was
that's
like
what I recognized him from, yeah.
He was the second banana to
the
Lorenzo Lamas?
Yes, I think it was Lorenzo Lamas, yeah. Paul would write, direct some episodes of Silk Stockings starting in 1998.
Oh, of course he would. That is,
yes.
Silk Stockings is like, if you don't have Cinemax, then you got Silk Stockings, which is like a sex show without sex.
Yes, it was awful. His first theatrical feature he would direct would be Half Past Dead, starring Steven Seagal in 2002.
Half Past Dead. I'm going to slap you in the face.
His career quickly morphed into directing straight-to-video sequels to popular films, including Jarhead 2, Field of Fire, and Sniper Legacy in 2014.
Jarhead 2?
There was a Jarhead 2. It didn't star any of the original actors.
Oh, naturally. I mean, we might have got one of them, maybe some.
I'm sure they were probably supporting. And he was the beginning of that weird. At some point, we have to sit down and do a sniper marathon.
Oh, my God.
Because they're so bizarre.
Well, he directed quite a few of them,
He did. He directed Tremors 5 Bloodlines in 2015.
All right. Is that when we started getting Jamie Kennedy?
Correct.
Okay.
Sniper, Ghost Shooter, and Kindergarten Cop 2 in 2016.
What?
Yeah, Kindergarten Cop 2 actually had Dolph Lundgren in it.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it now.
Did not know it existed. Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell, Death Race Beyond Anarchy, and The Scorpion King, Book of Souls in 2017.
There was a Scorpion King movie in 2017?
Yeah, there were like 6 of those movies. It was crazy. It was actually a sequel. It was a sequel to a prequel, which was a prequel to the original series.
The Mummy.
Yeah. It was super weird. Anyway, Bulletproof 2 and Tremors Shrieker Island in 2020.
Bulletproof 2?
Yeah, if there was ever a movie that did not need a sequel, it was Bulletproof.
Oh my God, an awful movie with Damon Wayans and what's that comedian? The fucking comedian from Saturday Night Live. Adam Sandler and...
Sorry, I'm just thinking that in your head, all you hear with Adam Sandler is "Goo goo 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 goo."
That's
that was actually Sandler. Now that you say Adam Sandler, it's like, yeah, that's dead on.
That's me. But what a dumb movie about a guy who accidentally shoots his friend in the head.
What?
You saw Bulletproof?
Apparently, I've not seen Bulletproof because I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, so Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler, whose name seems to be jumping out of my head every 5 seconds, they're like buddies, or they're stick-up guys, or
there were some kind of low-level criminals. Yeah.
And I think Sandler shoots Wayans in the head, and then Wayans goes to prison or something. I don't know, and he's supposed to get him back, but they're friends, but they're not friends. It's just a weird, dumb movie that I can't believe had a sequel, because the only reason there was to watch it was the 2 leads.
Yeah, they were definitely not in Bulletproof 2.
Really? Adam Sandler was? It was probably Rob Schneider.
Yeah, probably. So, script in hand, the production hired Simon Windsor to direct Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Windsor started his career in directing TV episodes.
Okay.
By the 1980s, he had directed over 200 hours of television.
Impressive.
Windsor's first feature film was Snapshot in 1979 with a budget of around $300,000. The movie only took 11 weeks from the first day of shooting to having a final print in hand.
That's impressive.
Apparently got some pretty good reviews. His second feature was Harlequin, also known as Dark Forces in the United States, in 1980. The film is a modern-day retelling of the historical figure Rasputin.
Yeah.
It looks so bizarre.
Really?
Like, I think it's on Tubi or something. Like, I looked it up because it looks so weird.
Okay.
Set in America. Like, it's essentially Rasputin set, like, he's, like, becomes an advisor to the president. It's so bizarre.
Is he still really hard to kill?
I'm assuming at the end, yes. I haven't actually watched it, but it looks fascinating.
I love that because it's not true, but I love the
I know, yeah.
the lore behind Rasputin and how he's like drawn and quartered and his tongue ripped out and all this stuff, but he came back to life. Yeah,
and stabbed and then thrown over a bridge, and then he crawled out of the river, and then they hung him and blah, 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 whatever. None of that was true.
What?
Yeah, I know. In 1985, Windsor directed the film Daryl, or Daryl.
That's the name of my brother-in-law.
Oh, that's right.
It's about him.
Starring Mary Beth Hurt, Michael McKean, Catherine Walker, Colin Camp, Joseph Summer, and Barrett Oliver as a seemingly normal young boy who turns out to be a top-secret military-created robot with superhuman abilities.
Yes. Yes.
So Daryl was another one of those movies that was on cable TV all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm positive, I've not watched it in 30 years, I am positive it's terrible, but in my mind, I remember really liking that movie.
Well, sure. Well, yeah.
Nostalgia sheen is very, very bright on that one.
That's so funny because back in the day, like HBO or Showtime, they had schedules, and you would get these little
booklets,
little
books,
every month, and it would tell you when everything was on. And usually, whatever quote quotes big movie they have would play like 2 or 3 times a day. And you have to wait for nighttime for the nudie movies because they didn't put any R's during the day at the beginning. Now it's like
now
whatever,
they
it's
don't care.
free for all.
Yeah.
But back then it was very scheduled and you knew exactly when stuff was coming on. And
right. Yeah, it was great. I remember that was always when I went and hung out with my parents' friends on New Year's Eve because they had HBO. I would sit down because Showtime never did that, but I would sit down and look through and be like, "Oh my god, all these movies I'm never going to be able to see."
Yeah,
like it was so great. Yeah. 1989 saw Windsor directing the TV miniseries Lonesome Dove, which won him an Emmy for outstanding directing in a miniseries or a special.
Without any sort of. Without any caveats, without anything, this is the best miniseries ever made.
Okay.
Ever made.
All right.
Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
Was Danny Glover in that?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rick Schroeder.
Yeah.
And Robert Urich. And Rosanna Arquette.
I've never seen Lonesome Dove. I have to see it.
Johnny, Big Bear.
Yeah.
Johnny and I, John, that's our favorite. We used to watch that once a year.
You would, get together and hang out.
And watch that. I miss it. We need to, Johnny and I need to do a Lonesome Dove.
Maybe next time you do it, I'll tag along
and
watch it for the first time.
Good 4.5, 5 hours.
Yes.
It's a three-part miniseries.
Wow.
But so good. And it's one of my absolute favorite things that Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall have ever done. And the two of them together, you get the two classic grumps. It's just gold. I got to wiggle my bean. That's what he said.
Wow, that's very out of context.
You want a woman? That's what he said.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay.
Gotta see it. Love it. That was for Johnny. You want a woman?
Yeah, definitely got to check that out. 1990 saw the release of the Windsor-directed Quigley Down Under, a Western starring Tom Selleck, Alan Rickman, and Laura San Giacomo.
Not a good movie, but a guilty pleasure.
Agreed. It's set in Australia. Technically, it's the Western of Australia. But it is Tom Selleck, and he is awesome.
Awesome.
It is not a good movie.
But Tom Selleck is a cowboy, man.
Oh, my
He was one of the original Marlboro Men.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The guy in the ads selling ciggies.
Yeah. After Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, Windsor would direct some TV movies and some features, including Free Willy in 1993.
Yeah, about when Pee Wee Herman went to that...
You saw a movie?
Went to see that porno movie, and he freed Willie.
Yeah.
And got arrested.
Except it would have been called Free Zombie, because he called it Free Zombie. Yeah.
Okay. Rest in peace.
Lightning Jack in 1994, starring Paul Hogan, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Beverly D'Angelo.
Is that the... No, I'm thinking of Kangaroo Jack.
You're thinking Kangaroo Jack. No, the second you started talking, it's like, no, it's not the Kangaroo movie.
Because that's with the fat kid from Stand By Me.
Yeah.
It's Kangaroo Jack.
Yes. Yeah.
And Anthony Anderson.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't remember his name. Anyway, the fat kid from Stand By Me.
Which I know. Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell. Aha.
Yeah.
He also did Operation Dumbo Drop in 1995, starring Danny Glover and Ray Liotta.
I love that movie. It's a definite guilty pleasure.
It is a definite guilty pleasure.
It is not a bad movie at all.
No.
It's a really interesting... It's one of the only, kind of feel-good Vietnam movies ever.
Yeah,
And it's just a really interesting story. It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
Of course, they took a lot of liberties.
Right.
But Ray Liotta and Danny Glover are both just gold in it. And, we're definitely going to have to cover it.
He also, I didn't include this, but he did direct Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, the third of the Crocodile Dundee movies.
There was a third?
Yeah. Both Paul Hogan and the woman whose name is escaping me were both in it.
That's his wife?
Yeah.
It was his wife. I don't know if they're still married.
I don't think they're still married. But yeah, apparently Paul Hogan and Simon Windsor were very good friends.
Oh.
They were very close.
Well, wait, what was... There were 3?
Yeah.
What was the second? The second one was New York.
Yes, he was in New York. He went from Australia to New York, and then the third one was Los Angeles.
What year was that? Do you know?
It was like 2007 or something.
Crazy.
Like it was way after it was like 10 years after the second movie.
I didn't even know it existed.
He also did The Phantom in 1996, starring Billy Zane.
Yeah. That was around the time where they were doing all these very obscure superhero movies.
Yeah,
and this was like a based on a serial from like the 30s or 40s. You know, when they used to have serial movies, like little shorts before the movie,
7-minute, 8-minute segments,
and with a cliffhanger. You know, the guy would, the car went off the cliff, and then next week it's a different angle, and you see him jumping out.
Right.
Cheaters,
yeah. Windsor's last film was The Cup in 2011, starring Brendan Gleeson. I think it was about horse racing, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. Simon Windsor's still around. He just hasn't directed any movies in like 15 years.
Maybe he retired.
And he just, I think he just said, okay, he's done. So they cast Mickey Rourke as Harley Davidson.
I'm Harley Davidson.
And I just total caveat here. Like I am not a huge Mickey Rourke fan. I don't really understand why everybody likes him. Like he's fine. But I haven't seen his early movies.
That's why.
That's
why. I mean, if you started, like I did, seeing him in Diner, Pope of Greenwich Village, in actual movies where he's really good and he's very handsome like he is in this, instead of the monster that he's become, the poor son of a bitch looks just like...
I know.
He's ruined himself, but whatever. That's his choice. But yeah,
he seemed like he never really wanted to act. Like it was much like all the other athletes, it was kind of a fallback.
Right.
And he was good at it.
Well, he worked hard at it.
Yeah.
I mean, he studied and he was very good. And I think there's certain guys that just don't fit into that world. And I don't think he fit into that world.
I agree.
You know, and I get it too. It's a total phony world, man.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have integrity or if you don't want to play that game, I get it.
Yeah.
And I think that that just wasn't his gig, man.
Yeah, I agree. So before high school, Rourke took up self-defense training at the Boys Club of Miami. It was there that he learned boxing skills and decided on an amateur career. At the age of 12, Rourke won his first boxing match as a 112-pound flyweight, fighting some of his early matches under the name Phil Rourke.
Yeah, my name's Phil Rourke.
He continued his boxing training at the famed 5th Street Gym in Miami Beach, Florida. In 1969, Rourke, then weighing 140 pounds, sparred with former world-weight champion Luis Rodriguez. Rodriguez was the number 1 rated middleweight boxer in the world and was training for his match with world champion Nino Benvenuti. The middleweight is 154 pounds to 160 pounds. Mickey Rourke was 140 pounds, and thereby he received a concussion from sparring with Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yeah, why anybody was like, yeah, let's do this. The guy outweighed him by 20 pounds.
Hey, he was brash.
Yeah.
Kid had brace,
some
chumbos.
Cojones, yeah. At the 1971 Florida Golden Gloves, Rourke suffered another concussion in a boxing match.
Guy had a glass head.
After being told by doctors to take a year off and rest, Rourke temporarily retired from the ring.
He's really like 13?
Yeah, I know. Well, no, he's 18. He was 18 this time. From 1964 to 1973, Rourke compiled an amateur boxing record of 27 wins with 12 straight knockouts and 3 defeats.
He was a good fighter,
He was good. Yeah.
He was good.
He was good. Rourke had acted in one play in high school but wanted to focus on boxing. After he suffered his second concussion, a friend at the University of Miami needed an actor for a play he was directing, so Rourke got the part and immediately became enamored with the acting world.
Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, Borrowing $400 from his sister, he moved to New York, working an assortment of odd jobs while studying with actor studio alumni Walter Lott and Sandra Seacat.
Ooh.
It was under the Seacat's tutelage the Sea Cat's. It was under Sea Cat's tutelage, not the.
What is a sea cat?
Apparently, it's someone named Sandra. It was under Sea Cat's tutelage. Rourke later recalled that
everything started to click.
You do a really good impression of him. Rourke had been selected to the Actors Studio in his first audition, which Elia Kazan is reported to have said was the
best audition in 30 years.
Kazan had a very high-pitched voice.
That's why he was so in demand as an actor and director.
Appearing primarily in television films during the late 1970s, Rourke made his feature film debut with a small role in Steven Spielberg's 1941.
Yeah.
He had a small part in Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate in 1980.
Ooh, that was a bomb.
Yeah, it was bad. He made Heads Turn playing an arsonist in 1981's Body Heat, written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan.
Oh, yeah. He was great. That movie's great.
The next year, in 1982, he was in Diner from Barry Levinson, starring alongside Paul Reiser, Daniel Stern, Steve Guttenberg, Tim Daly, and Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I've talked about this movie a lot if you've listened to the show. It is amazing. It's such a great turn for every one of these young actors who all became stars.
Yeah.
And rightly so. I mean, they were so good. And you know the popcorn trick?
No.
Where
is that where you go to the movie with Pee Wee Herman?
Well, that's a different kind. kind of. It's where you put your wiener in the popcorn and then the girl digs down. That's from this movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's Mickey Rourke.
Oh, wow.
He did the wiener.
Wow, he did the popcorn wiener.
Yeah.
Wow. I need to see more Barry Levinson. I've not seen. It's part of his Baltimore.
It's the Bagel Trilogy. Yeah. It's with Tin Man.
They include 2 other movies with it. There's 2 other movies they consider part of that.
Right, but it was originally the trilogy of Tin Man, this, and Avalon, I believe.
Yeah, but all Baltimore set stuff and about, Yeah. I need to see those. It's also on my list. Rourke would start gaining more critical acclaim throughout the 80s. 1983 saw the release of Rumblefish, Francis Ford Coppola's follow-up to The Outsiders.
Not very good movie, but a great performance by him.
Yeah. The Pope of Greenwich Village in 1982, co-starring Eric Roberts and Daryl Hannah.
They took my thumbs, Charlie. They took my thumbs.
1985 saw Year of the Dragon, a crime thriller co-written by Oliver Stone and directed by Michael Cimino.
That's a fun movie. That's a good one.
I have not seen that. I would like to see that. I'd love Oliver Stone. 1986 saw the release of 9.5 Weeks, directed by Adrian Lin and co-starring Kim Basinger. This movie turned Rourke into a sex symbol, and he had never been more popular than he was after 9.5 Weeks.
Yes. Oh, God, that Leave Your Hat On song. You can leave your hat on. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody's mushing food all over. It started everybody having sex with food present.
No.
And there's that whole scene in front of the fridge where they're just mushing jellies on each other. Nom, 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 nom.
Okay, gross.
You can leave your hat on. Food. Boom, 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 boom.
Food should not be involved in sex. That is, in 1987, Rourke was in Angel Heart, directed by Alan Parker, notorious for its sex scene with Lisa Bonet, who was one of the Cosby kids.
Yeah, that overshadowed everything about that movie.
I actually seen Angel Heart. I really liked Angel Heart. I thought it was done well.
It's a good movie. It's flawed, but it's really interesting. It's got such a cool look. And Alan Parker is
shot really well, and Alan Parker's a genius.
Yeah, and it's a really good performance by Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
I mean, it is brutal. I mean, he is so emotionally raw in parts of that, and De Niro's creepy.
Oh yeah.
That egg.
Never. Yes, that was that whole just cracking the egg, the slowly
long fingernails.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so great.
Or Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was dumb. It was like, oh no, the Cosby Kid's in a sex scene, and that was all anybody wanted to talk about.
Sure, and Cosby's moral outrage sure aged well. Why don't you, Mr. Glasshouses?
How dare you, Bill? Yeah, exactly. He was also in 1987 in Barfly, with Rourke starring as Charles Bukowski.
Very underrated movie. Faye Dunaway is ridiculous in that movie. He is so good in that movie. I love Charles Bukowski.
Yeah.
Is it a perfect movie about Charles Bukowski?
No.
Not at all. But it's a really good film. And again, it showcases just how talented Mickey Rourke is.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough role, man. Bukowski was a drunk, baby.
Oh, he was bad drunk.
He was legendary, and it's definitely. See, these are the movies that that you haven't seen. That,
Yeah.
that are the ones that are good.
In the late 1980s, Rourke performed with David Bowie on his album Never Let Me Down.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. He
play
actually,
the triangle?
No, he started to have like a weird musical career.
Oh, right.
He was another one of those like Don Johnson, who just randomly was like, well, I'm popular enough.
Heartbeat. Nothing but heartbeat. Thank you, GTA.
Around the same time, he also wrote his first screenplay called Homeboy, a boxing tale in which he starred.
Not a bad movie, but, again, kind of like Johnny Handsome and stuff, just kind of like disappeared. Nobody really saw it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of these.
I've never seen this. Yeah.
I'm
guessing this is part of the reason why he eventually went back to the boxing, because I think he was kind of getting tired of Hollywood, and the boxing movie was like, oh hey, I actually can still do this.
He seemed pretty tired in Harley Davidson, Marlboro Man.
He did. Unfortunately, most of his movies were box office bombs or critically panned. Rourke's acting career eventually became overshadowed by his personal life and his career decisions.
Yeah.
Directors such as Alan Parker found it difficult to work with him. Parker stated that
working with Mickey is a nightmare. He's very dangerous on the set because you never know what he's going to do.
Those are my least favorite people to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I've had to fire actors because it was like they were doing something unsafe, and I was like, you can't do that.
We shot a short over here, and there was an actor that was totally out of control, and he was bouncing off the wall, and he fell down right onto my neck. I almost broke my neck.
God.
And I knew this was going to happen because it was the director wasn't, oh, that's really funny, that's great. And it's like, well, no, this guy's completely out of control. He doesn't know what he's doing with his body. And that kind of stuff is ridiculous. Like, do not endanger your other actors. Don't do stupid stuff. Make sure everything's planned. As somebody who always gets hurt, whether it's a play or a movie, stitches, bloody noses, this or that, please, actors, be safe.
I was. There was one play that I was in where it was being directed by somebody else, and one of the actors, totally unscripted, just smacked a hat off my head, and I stopped the scene. And I got up and took the director outside, and I said, "You're going to fire him." And he was like, "I can't do it." So I took him outside and fired him.
Nice. Is this Zombie Joe's?
Yeah. I was like, "You can't." I literally told him, I was like, "You can't do that. Like, you've not just physically assaulted me, but like, if you think it's an idea, tell me, and we'll work it out."
Exactly.
But that's just so unacceptable. And I could felt it coming, and it was like, okay.
Improv is improv, but physical stuff, all of it needs to be worked out because you will get
planned.
I am 100% proof that you will get hurt.
Yes, exactly.
If you do not.
Exactly. Learn from Jim.
Learn from my mistakes, people.
Rourke also constantly turned down parts of movies that became big hits. This is where the weird, I don't know why he turned these down, but movies including
48 Hours, Platoon, Highlander, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop, The Untouchables, Rain Man, Tombstone, The Silence of the Lambs, and Pulp Fiction. Wow, I wonder who he would have played.
He was going to play the Bruce Willis role.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was a boxer. Like, that was Tarantino.
No. I meant Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs? They might have, maybe for the Buffalo Bill role. Maybe. I could see him doing that.
Yeah, totally.
It would have been a great part for him.
Yeah, he was going to be the cop in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
After Stallone dropped it, right?
After Stallone decided to make his own cop movie.
I'm going to make it pretty, my own cop movie without any sort of laughs.
It was Beverly Hills Cop that I couldn't think of in Tango and Cash, that Cobra, that he wrote his own movie. And then, so just correcting that from the last episode.
But yeah, I mean...
it's just sad because like all of these are movies that I've seen.
He would have been
movies that he would have been great in.
He would have been great in Rain Man. He would have been great in Tombstone. Pulp Fiction, he would have been great.
Yeah, he would have been great. I mean, and the thing is that the casts in all these are great. I mean, minus Highlander, but
maybe Highlander would have been good.
Possibly
for me to speak on, for not to.
Yeah, I mean, I would have bought him more as Lambert's character.
There could be only one. I'm gonna cut your head off.
In 1991, Rourke decided that he
had to go back to boxing
because he felt that he
was self-destructing. I had no respect for myself as an actor.
Rourke was undefeated in 8 fights with 6 wins, 4 by knockout, and 2 draws.
Again, really good boxer.
Good boxer. He fought internationally in countries including Spain, Japan, and Germany. During his boxing career, Rourke suffered a number of injuries, including a broken nose, a broken toe,
Okay.
broken ribs, a split tongue, and a compressed cheekbone.
Good Lord. Broken toe. That's
How do you-
really
why
below
you-
the belt.
Why you punching my toes, man?
he was fighting a little guy. Very small.
He also suffered from short-term memory loss.
What?
He also apparently was getting concussions constantly.
Wait, where am I?
Yeah. His trainer during most of his boxing career was Hell's Angels member, actor, and celebrity bodyguard Chuck Zito.
Chuck Zito. He was on the Howard Stern show all the time in the 90s.
It's funny, I didn't include this, but the motorcycle he rode during Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, he actually gave to Chuck Zito because Chuck Zito kind of acted like as a stunt double during the movie. And Rourke refused to go to the premiere because he hated the movie. And so he was like, take my motorcycle and go. And Chuck Zito's like, well, I'm not going if you're not going. And then they just went to Vegas. And neither of them went to the premiere.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, okay. Boxing promoters said that Rourke was too old to succeed against top-level fighters. Indeed, Rourke himself admits that entering the ring was a sort of personal test.
I just wanted to give it a shot. Test myself that way physically while I still had time.
I get it. I mean, he loved boxing.
That was his first love.
It was a thing. He was like, if I get any older, then I'm not going to be able to do it. So, and he obviously had 8 fights, 6 wins, and 2 draws.
He's not Jake Paul.
Yeah. Yes. He actually knows what he's doing.
Oh, maybe Jake Paul's a good boxer.
He's not. He's not.
But yeah, I mean, this guy, it wasn't like, ooh, Hollywood actor, vanity project is boxing. It says he was a boxer who happened to be an actor and went back to boxing.
I remember they tried to play it that way. I remember stories like Inside Edition and stuff.
Yeah.
And like them playing it up like, oh, Hollywood beauty wants to become a boxer. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, he actually, and then they would talk about it. And it's like, yeah.
It was just cruel BS back
Yeah.
then. I mean, it was after that, but that's when you had TMZ and
Well,
who
but
was
even
that celebrity?
Current Affair and Inside Edition, all those shows
yeah.
were precursors to that
Yeah.
stuff. Where it was just shock headlines and then like, oh, actually, it's not that bad.
Exactly. It was just meant to
get you to watch.
Well, a lot of it too, unfortunately, was the Hollywood machine taking these people down a peg.
Yeah.
Because of whatever reason.
Well, if they don't think they're worth the money, then they're not going to ask for the money.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Rourke's boxing career resulted in a notable physical change in the 1990s as his face needed reconstructive surgery to mend his injuries. His face was later called
appallingly disfigured. Oh my gosh, that is so mean.
It is so horrible.
But it is apt.
It is. He does not look the same.
Oh my
at
God,
all.
he was so freaking handsome.
I know. It is surprising. Watching Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, and then seeing him now.
Yeah.
It
or
is-
in The Wrestler or
Yeah, it's just, oh my God. It's shocking.
yeah. Well, don't get punched in the face.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my advice, people. Don't get punched in the face.
Rourke's return to acting in the 90s resulted in a lot of directed-to-video movies, a lot of B movies.
Try that again.
Yeah. Rourke's return to acting in the 90s... Wow, I can't say that word. I just licked the microphone.
Gross.
Okay. Rourke's return to acting in the 90s resulted in a lot of direct-to-video movies, a lot of B movies, while appearing in some higher-profile movies like The Rainmaker in 97 from Francis Ford Coppola, based on the Grisham novel.
He was great in that. He was great. I just remember him being really good. And it was like, okay, now finally he's back.
Getting back. Yeah. He was also in Buffalo 66, which granted was not a huge high-profile movie. I love Buffalo 66.
Love that movie. Oh my God.
From Vincent Gallo in 1998.
Vincent Gallo is, well, he kind of, Brown Bunny kind of wasn't great, but
not somebody I'd want to hang out with.
No. But, man, Buffalo 66 is an incredible film.
It's such a... Ben Gazzara, Anjelica Houston.
But even the way it was shot.
Yeah.
And
it was a brilliant
Christina Ricci.
indie movie. Yeah.
It is.
Oh, Christina Ricci is so good.
Oh, my God. Yeah. It's if you have not seen Buffalo 66, do yourself a favor. That movie is brilliant.
It is so good. And granted, Mickey Rourke was only in it for like 30 seconds, but he was great in it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of he became a character actor.
Yeah.
Once his face got all effed up,
Yeah.
he went from leading man to character actor, and I think he's the guy, kind of like Brad Pitt, that was always a character actor in a leading man's body.
Yeah.
and now he's in a character actor's body, being a character actor,
Right.
and I think that fits him perfectly.
He was in Man on Fire in 2004 from Tony Scott.
Ooh, is that with...
That's the Denzel Washington.
Denzel, yeah.
I don't remember him in that movie at all.
I think he was the bad guy.
I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember him at all. Sin City in 2006, which gained him a higher profile in Hollywood, which is a fantastic movie.
Oh, my God. And he is so good in it.
It is the perfect role for him.
Yes.
After all the boxing
Yes.
and all that, and being gruff and like...
And disfigured.
It is perfect.
It plays into all of his strengths, and that is Robert Rodriguez's masterpiece. Man.
Agreed.
Such a great movie.
Oh, yeah, so good. But because of that, he would end up starring in The Wrestler from Darren Aronofsky, which would garner him his first Best Actor nomination from the Academy Award, unfortunately losing to Sean Penn for Milk.
Well, he was pretty good as Milk.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a good year that year for male leading actors.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I ever saw The Wrestler.
Oh, really?
Probably, but
it's good. I mean, it's Aronofsky, so like I'm a huge Aronofsky fan. So like but he was good. I mean, it was just about it literally was kind of his autobiography. Right. Like he was a wrestler and got all messed up, and then he stopped for a long time, and he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory.
All right.
Yeah. They essentially kept telling him during the movie, if you wrestle, you're going to die. And he's like, all right. Yeah. It's good. It's really good. He currently has 8 movies in post-production, and they all look like they're going to be going straight to DVD or straight to video.
Straight to streaming, I think is what it is now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Walmart still sells a lot of DVDs, straight to DVD movies.
Nice. Any titles on those or no?
No. I mean, none of them were familiar, and I literally couldn't find any information. Like, it was just I feel like at this point, he's like, I'm just going to work. Like, whatever.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, either you take the jobs that are offered or you don't work. I mean,
Yeah.
Don
Johnson was cast as Robert Lee Edison, also known as the Marlboro Man.
Woohoo!
Johnson's first major role was the 1969 Los Angeles stage production of Fortune and Men's Eyes, in which he played the lead role of Schmitty. Oh, Schmitty. The play included a
shockingly realistic prison rape
scene portrayed by Johnson.
Was he getting or giving?
Giving.
Nice.
Yeah. Really?
I don't know.
This exposure led to the quickly forgotten film The Magic Garden of Stanley Sweetheart in 1970, Johnson's debut feature and first lead.
Ooh.
It was about a confused college student's experiences with sex, relationships, and drugs in the late 1960s.
Yeah, he did a lot of these counterculture movies.
He did. He continued to work, but his breakout role still escaped him. He appeared in Zachariah in 1971, an acid western.
Ew.
Yeah, literally. Like I think all the characters are on acid.
Probably while they were filming it, too.
Yeah. The Herod Experiment in 1973, a coming-of-age film about a fictional school called Herod College, where the students learn about sexuality and experiment with each other, starring James Whitmore, Tippi Hedren, and Bruno Kirby, a film in which Johnson displayed frontal nudity.
Yeah, I've seen this movie. It's weird.
Oh, I've never seen this. I kind of want to watch it now, knowing that Don Johnson shows his weenie.
Everybody shows their weenie. You get to see Bruno Kirby's weenie, too.
Ooh!
But it also has, like... Because I remember seeing this when I was young. And also, one of the stars was one of the daughters from 8 is Enough.
Oh, really?
You know, which is a pretty family film, family show.
It'd be like Lisa Bonet from doing
kinda.
Angel Heart.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just weird movie about in Herod they pair men and women together in dorms.
Oh.
You know, and some sleep together and some don't. And Bruno Kirby's kind of uptight and the girl is really uptight.
Right.
It's living with Don Johnson. It's not bad. It's just kind of weird. And boy, if you watch it on Prime, man, whatever print they used was like 3,000 years old. And it's like they took it to the desert and just scraped it all on the sand.
He was also in A Boy and His Dog in 1975, the post-apocalyptic film based on the Harlan Ellison novel.
Yeah, have you read that novel?
No, it's funny because I'm a huge Harlan Ellison fan, and there's a bunch. He wrote so much. There's a bunch I've not read.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I really like that movie.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check.
That's when I first realized. I was like, oh, this guy's cool.
He's actually really good. Yeah.
But he's so young in it. It's in both of these movies. He is so young. He's just like a little boy. It's just too young.
In 1976, Johnson was the roommate of actor Sal Mineo at the time Mineo was murdered.
Did he do it?
It was not Don Johnson.
Are you sure?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Just saying.
I hope not.
It's always the roommate, Adam.
Keep it simple.
That's what there's when I murder you.
Everyone's gonna assume it was you, Jim. Johnson was being cast in TV parts, various episodes of shows and TV movies, having a pretty good career, but still not quite hitting it big.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, man. Devastatingly handsome, super cool.
Yeah.
And
good. I mean, he's really good.
And a really good actor.
Very natural actor.
He came up in a time where his type of looks and movie star were kind of being rejected because it was the 70s and people were looking at weirdo-looking people, like Jack Nicholson.
It was like, we got to find the
norms,
non-pretty
normies,
guys.
Yeah. So he kind of came up at a time where that look was kind of against him.
Right. It was unfortunate. Yeah.
Too pretty.
At that time, yeah. He was in From Here to Eternity in 1980, the 3-part 6-hour miniseries that was essentially a remake of the original movie.
It was pointless.
Which was based on a book, and it was, anyway, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really see a purpose for it.
No, the movie was fine.
The movie was fine, yeah. Between 1978 and 1981, a mere 4-year period, Johnson was in 9 TV movies, including playing Elvis and Elvis Presley and the Beauty Queen in 1981.
Well, thank you very much.
He found his big break when he was cast in Miami Vice in 1984, appearing in 111 episodes. That's such a good show. Johnson tried to parlay this back into a feature film career, appearing in Ceasefire in 1985, a Vietnam War movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
I'm sure I did. I don't remember it.
Yeah. He was the voice of Lieutenant Falcon in G.I. Joe the movie in 1987.
Go Joe!
Man, he was so good. I love that movie so much. Sweetheart's Dance in 1988, co-starring Susan Sarandon, Elizabeth Perkins, and Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, it's a little romantic comedy.
Yeah. Dead Bang in 1989, directed by John Frankenheimer, co-starring Penelope Ann Miller, William Forsythe, Bob Balaban, and Tim Reed.
I don't think that was a bad movie.
It was a box office bomb.
But I don't think it
wasn't a bad movie. I like John Frankenheimer, so I don't think I've seen it.
Was about twins or something? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely seeing the cover or the poster. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Oh, I know I've seen it.
But
I just don't remember
yeah.
what it was about.
He was also in The Hot Spot in 1990, directed by Dennis Hopper, co-starring Virginia Madsen and Jennifer Connelly. It actually premiered on Showtime rather than getting a theatrical release, and was described as
a scorchingly erotic thriller.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper. He was all about those scorchingly erotic thrillers.
No, it was. I mean, it was. Yeah. It was like an erotic thriller.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very apt description. Yeah. During production of Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, Rourke revealed that he was a big fan of Johnson because of Miami Vice.
We all were.
Kind of fanboyed on him a little bit. Rourke feels that he learned a lot from Johnson during the production and considers Johnson to be a lifelong friend.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely had chemistry. Like, the scenes with them sitting on the billboards and, like, chatting. Like, they were good together.
Yeah. But there was never, like...
I mean, there was almost zero stakes to it. But, I mean, it was, yeah.
But there was also not a lot of, like, bonding...
Yeah.
Friendship kind of stuff. It was a lot of like, Harley, you blew it,
Yeah, it's like...
I know I blew it. I don't know.
They obviously knew each other. And this is, I think, where part of the movie failed. Because the whole thing with Tango and Cash was that it was essentially two rivals getting together and realizing that they respect each other.
Yeah.
And this movie, there was no point to that because they knew each other and that was it.
Right. And the friendship stakes just seemed kind of... there. Like, we never got an explanation of why they rode together. We never really got an explanation of how they met. I don't know what Harley was. Like, we got some backstory from Marlboro. He was a rodeo guy who had a bad relationship with his daddy.
Yeah.
First thing and the last thing he gave me were these goddamn boots. But yeah, it's... I think there were moments, man, like on top of the building before they were jumping into the pool was great.
Yeah.
The when they talked about the boots and stuff, that was it was
good scene. Yeah,
good scene. It just it lacked any sense of like urgency.
No, exactly. Yes, yeah. I mean, it just there weren't any stakes for them. Like, you knew that no matter what happened, no matter how mad they got at each other, they were still going to be friends.
And Mickey Rourke and Harley was kind of a weird character because he was kind of compassionate in some places, but then in others, like after all their friends got killed, he was just like, they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah, he was super weird, sociopathic.
Okay. And it was just like, easy, Harley.
It's like, whoa, man, you don't like
killing...
All
of our friends died, Harley.
Yeah. It's like he said he didn't like killing people. It's like, well,
I don't kill people, but I don't care if people are killed.
Yeah, apparently that was.
All right, Harley.
That pretty much sums up Harley Davidson. Johnson would continue the string of box office duds, unfortunately, until 1993, starring in Guilty as Sin, a legal thriller directed by Sidney Lumet and co-starring Rebecca De Mornay.
That was pretty good.
It was a modest hit. I mean, it made some money. In 1996, Johnson was in Tin Cup, playing the antagonist Kevin Costner in the golfing movie.
That's a fun movie.
It was also a modest hit, but for me, an extreme guilty pleasure.
I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure. I think that's just a pleasure.
I have a soft spot for sports movies, and the ending of that movie is one of the most brilliant endings of any movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, when he just keeps going.
He's like, no, I'm gonna get this, and he like drops like 80 balls, and he's just like, I'm gonna do it, and then he gets a hole in one, even though he wasted like 18 strokes.
Yeah, but
it was
Don
a brilliant
Johnson was
movie.
so good in that
He was
too.
good,
As the
yeah.
foil. He was just like, what are you doing? I mean, he was just almost like compassionate.
Yeah, it was like, you're ruining your career. But it was also the first time that I think Johnson was kind of played the antagonist, like a kind of not a bad guy, but like giving himself a little more depth and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. He would go back to TV with Nash Bridges in 1996, appearing in 122 episodes through 2001.
I completely forgot that existed. I have never seen an episode. As much as I love him, I never watched Nash
It
Bridges.
also had Cheech Marin in it.
I know,
Would have been-
strange.
This would be your. You should have loved that show.
I should have, but it was a CBS old people show.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was.
And I was a little disappointed that Cheech Marin was in an old people. That was when Cheech was like, I'm getting away from the weed, and I'm going to go for the bucks.
Mainstream. Yeah. Since then, he's mostly played bit parts or villains in movies, with notable parts in Django Unchained in 2012, written and directed by Tarantino.
Great.
So phenomenal in that movie. He's so good at, and this movie proves it. Marlboro Man, Harley Davidson, Marlboro Man proves it. He's very good at like comedy timing. Like the whole bit when he jumps off the truck and his mask falls down, he's just like, shit.
Yeah.
And he pulls it back up. Like he's so good at those moments.
Yes.
Like,
just realistic. I mean,
yeah.
he plays real comedy. He plays everything very real. He's just got that. He's just cool, man.
Yeah,
And he's still super cool and handsome. And it's just, that's why Miami Vice was such a hit, because that MFer knew how to sit in a scene and twist his cigarette. You know, he would always, all of my friends, because of stupid Miami Vice, we all twisted the fronts of our cigarettes closed because he would just sit there and twist. We'd be like, "Oh, Don Johnson does it, and it should be something to be done."
In Django Unchained is so great. He's playing the KKK, and they just like arguing about my wife cleaned those, and he's like, "What? No!" Like it was God, such a great scene. He was also in Brawl in Cell Block 99 in 2017, starring Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, whatever.
Did you see that?
No.
It's a very underrated movie.
Really?
Vince Vaughn is badass in that movie.
I don't know. I've kind of fallen out with Vince Vaughn.
I get it.
I just,
it's just more of an action movie. And
I mean, I'll check it out because I mean, I don't have anything against him. I just, it's another one of those things where the less I know about actors I like, the better. And I found out too much about Vince Vaughn, and it affected the way that, you know.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand.
Unfortunately.
He was Don Johnson was also in Knives Out in 2019, written and directed by Ryan Johnson.
No relation.
He was so good in that movie.
He was. Look, Don Johnson's an American treasure, man.
He is. He most recently can be seen in the just canceled sitcom Kenan, appearing in 20 episodes.
Oh my God.
I need to watch that because I love Kenan Thompson and I love Don Johnson, and I'm very sad it got canceled.
It was really great. It was a return to like sitcoms, man.
Yeah.
But good sitcoms,
right?
You know, not like, you know, Facts of Life or whatever goofy stuff. But, you know, Kenan was great. He was the host of a co-host of a morning talk show. I believe his wife passed.
Oh.
And Don Johnson's his father-in-law, who lives with him, and his brother / manager, played by Chris Redd from Saturday Night Live, who again is amazing.
Yeah.
Who, strangely enough, is dating Kenan's ex-wife. And they're all cool with it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. But there was such a great chemistry with Kenan and Don, you know, the kind of like, they could have been like, oh, we hate each other, whatever. But it wasn't. It was like they all loved the kids. Right. And it was all about the daughters, who were adorable. And just a really down-to-earth return to good, solid sitcom stuff. And it just fell between the cracks or whatever, and it was just a shame.
I didn't watch it, so I'm part of the problem.
Yeah,
so
you are part of the problem.
I'm the reason it got canceled.
You are. They're like, well, if Adam's not watching it, nobody's watching it.
Johnson will be seen in the upcoming films Rebel Ridge from Jeremy Saulnier, who directed Murder Party, Blue Ruin, Green Room, and Hold the Dark.
Okay.
Murder Party is a phenomenal movie.
Okay.
It was done very low budget, but about a guy who goes to a Halloween party and realizes that everyone's murdering everyone else.
Oh.
And then Blue Ruin was really good. It's a very odd movie about a guy who's trying to get revenge. Literally no dialogue in the movie for the first 35 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And Green Room was the Patrick Stewart movie with him playing the neo-Nazi.
Oh, I saw that. That was really good. And with Anton Yelchin.
Yes, Anton Yelchin. Yeah.
It was like one of his last movies.
Where they get invited to go play at a place and didn't realize there was a bunch of neo-Nazis and then they were trying to get out. And then there's a bunch of murder. Jeremy Saulnier. And Hold the Dark was with... I can't think of his name. It was a Netflix movie. Anyway, Jeremy Saulnier is somebody that I think is up and coming.
Yeah. So Patrick Stewart was chilling in that. He was one of his best performances ever.
Yeah, I think Hold the Dark was like a post-apocalyptic movie, if I remember. I didn't actually see it, but it was a Netflix exclusive.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm excited about Rebel Ridge because whatever Jeremy Saulnier does, I'm excited to see.
Hey, and whatever Don Johnson does, I'm excited to see.
Exactly. They'll be good. They'll be really good together. He also will be appearing in Unit 234 from Andy Tennant, who directed such smash films as The It Takes Two, starring the Olsen twins.
That is such a good movie. Oh, my God. The Olsen twins are brilliant in it. Such range. Oh, wait. No, it's not.
He also directed Fools Rush In, which is bad.
With Chandler.
Chandler Bing. And,
I hate... Rest in peace.
Yeah. Ever After, A Love Story. Anne and the King, which was a remake of the original King and I.
Yep.
Sweet Home Alabama, and Fool's Gold. All these movies are not bad. They're just not good.
No. Isn't Fool's Gold another movie with...
That was, I think, had Matthew McConaughey in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was that the one with Matthew McConaughey where he's like a treasure hunter?
Yes,
yes.
And then there's some romantic interest in...
I think it's Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Kate Hudson. I think you're right, actually.
They were in a couple movies together.
I think you're right, yeah.
Failure to launch.
Failure to launch.
I believe they failed to launch.
Which was not directed by Andy Tennant.
All right.
Anyway, look, Andy Tennant's working, and more power to him. His movies kind of feel like cookie cutter.
Yeah, well, hey.
But Don Johnson's in this, so who knows? Maybe Unit 234 will be better.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know if it probably won't be It Takes Two, but... What is?
Chelsea Field was cast as Officer Virginia Slim.
Marlboro and Virginia Slim. The names in this movie are dumb.
I know. Field started her career as a solid gold dancer, and one of her first television roles was on Airwolf.
Yep.
Woohoo, Airwolf, yeah. She played Tila in the 1987 film adaptation of Masters of the Universe.
I have the power.
Huge guilty pleasure.
By the power of Grayskull.
Yeah, that was such an awful movie. Field appeared in Skin Deep in 1989 with John Ritter, featuring the infamous glowing condom scene.
Yeah, it was like the wieners were lightsabers.
Yeah. It's because of Masters of the Universe and Skin Deep is why I recognized her in this.
Oh, yeah.
She would appear in The Last Boy Scout in 1991.
That's where I remember her from. What a thankless role.
Yes,
awful role.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Whomever wrote that movie hated women.
Yes.
Hated them. Shane Black. But
yeah.
Shane Black must have really had
gone through a bad breakup or something.
Oh, my God. Because not only was Chelsea Field written as a horrible, angry, awful person, but, my God, the daughter.
Yeah.
That poor actor. Oh, my God. It was one of the most hateable roles I have ever seen in my life. And... she went on to have a great career. But yeah, I mean, she was just this foul-mouthed, awful little person.
Right.
And that movie was just it was just written so cynically and so...
a little too far.
Oh my God, everybody was a dick. Everybody in that movie was a dick.
You got to have at least one likable character.
Exactly. And none of them were likable.
Yeah.
And that's why we'll cover it at some point.
I know we will.
But, oh, man. Whoever hurt Shane Black hurt him deep.
In 1993, Chelsea Field was in The Dark Half, directed by George A. Romero, adapted from the Stephen King novel.
That was great. She was really good in it.
She was good in it. It's one of my lesser liked Stephen King books.
Was that house?
I think it was one of those. I think he was still kind of
the book or the movie. You didn't like the book?
The movie was fine, but because I didn't really like the book, the movie was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I like the book. The movie is a guilty pleasure. I thought, what's his name? I thought Timothy Hutton did a really good job of playing both parts.
I need to see it again. I will say it's been a long time, and I need to read the book again because it's been a while. Yeah. It was just another one of those where I had like picked it up and I was like, oh, it's your 40th book about an author that goes crazy. Okay.
Well, no, it was basically his book about dealing with Bachman book, like, because Bachman
like
was
dealing with his alter ego.
Yeah,
sure.
But it was cool. I just remember psychopops.
I haven't read it in like 30 years. So
the birds are psychopops. Sparrows are psychopops.
All the psychopomps.
They can bring in stuff. Psychopomps.
She was also in Extreme Justice, co-starring Lou Diamond Phillips and Scott Glenn.
Okay.
Your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, yeah.
And Snapdragon, the first movie that Pamela Anderson starred in after her Playboy contract expired.
Okay.
Yeah, these are not good movies. She began portraying attorney Rita Devereaux in NCIS New Orleans during the program's 3rd season.
Great.
And then the character was changed from recurring to regular, effective with the 7th season. And she's been on ever since.
Very good. I've never seen it. I'm not old enough yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, you might be able to go back and start watching, like, Nash Bridges. Because I think you're maybe about at the right age for it.
I'm getting there. I'm not a senior citizen yet, Adam.
A part of me kind of wants to start watching Nash Bridges.
Why not?
Daniel Baldwin was cast as Alexander. He actually had a name, surprisingly enough. He was lead bad guy robot number 1.
Was that the name?
Alexander, apparently, was his name. Yeah. I didn't read. In the movie, he's never named, so I don't know if they just gave him names for the credits, but...
What's the extra $1 for?
So it's just so weird.
Yeah.
Baldwin is the second oldest of the Baldwin brothers acting clan.
Question mark?
Yeah.
Acting?
I know. He's most well known for his part on the superb crime drama Homicide: Life on the Street, appearing in its 31 episodes over 3 seasons from 93 to 95, and the Homicide movie that was released in 2000.
He was really good in that. Everybody was good in that because it was such a good show.
It's written so well.
Yeah, and he did a good job. But Alec Baldwin's great, but he just unleashed too many Baldwins on the world.
Yeah. Well, Alec Baldwin?
What did I say?
No, yeah. Well, but it's not like he unleashed them. It was his brothers.
It was his mother.
His parents. Or you could blame the parents.
Well, no, I mean, he got in there and then, I know. And then he pulled all of his brothers
everyone's
in.
like, well, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. It's basically, when you're making a movie, it's like, which Baldwin can we afford? Top of the tier, Alec. And then Billy. And then Daniel. And then at the very, very bottom,
Little Stevie
Baldwin.
Baldwin has mostly appeared in B movies, not quite gaining the success of his older brother Alec. He did have more success in TV, along with Homicide. He appeared in the ironically named "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here" and Celebrity Big Brother, getting 13th place.
Jesus, that's when you know your career is done. Is
Yeah.
when you end up on "I'm a Celebrity."
Well, he kind of had to because he has a long history of substance abuse and arrests throughout his career.
Honestly, I thought he died.
Yeah, we started talking about doing this movie, and Jim was like, "Oh yeah, it's starring the dead Baldwin brother," and then I started writing the script, and it was like, none of them are dead.
Even I think in the last show, I referenced that he was dead,
yeah.
And I apologize, Daniel. You aren't very much alive.
I thought he was dead too. I was so confused because I was like, "Is there another Baldwin brother?"
No, it's Chris Penn, Sean Penn's brother.
He died. Yes,
who was so.
He was a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I mean, he was really, really good. He was the character actor of the two. Really great in True Romance. Really,
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Daddy. Oh my God!
He was so good in that.
So good. Such a shame that he died.
Yeah. In true Hollywood fashion, this led Baldwin to an appearance on the VH1 reality television show Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, filmed in 2007, but left the show after the 4th episode.
F. Dr. Drew. I will say it.
Drew Pinsky is a monster.
He is a
monster.
I used to listen to him on Love Line.
I did too.
And I used to listen to him on Kevin and Bean.
I was like,
thought he was a decent dude.
He has good advice.
Yeah.
Like, this is interesting.
But then that son of a bitch to exploit people the way he did.
Awful.
And their addictions was disgusting. disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And then he came out with a bunch of weird crap during the.
It was around the time that I found out
pandemic.
that he was best friends with the TMZ guy, and I was like,
Harvey Levin?
Yeah, they're like really close.
Well, they deserve each other.
Bleh.
They're just ghouls. They are
Awful,
ghouls.
awful.
They profit off of the worst aspect of this business, and they are ghouls. And Drew Pinsky, F you.
Yeah.
You should have your license revoked.
Baldwin stated reasons for leaving the show, the Celebrity Rehab, included having a prior commitment to an acting job and the other's behaviors interfering with his recovery.
I got an acting job, and you're interfering with my recovery.
It was eventually reported that he left because of inappropriate text messages he had sent to Mary Carey, a fellow patient in his treatment group.
Oops.
He's going to appear in 3 movies that are coming up that have no release dates, and they all look like they're very direct-to-video.
Fine, but at least he's working. Hopefully he's sober and got his S together. Because
There was a ton of other stuff. Like, he's been arrested for drugs like 5 or 6 times.
did he also get it for domestic abuse? Was that?
No.
Okay, good.
No. That was Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, Tom's another guy. Gee, these two guys on the movie must have been a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of in the height of both of their
them
addictions.
together, every scene, so much cocaine flowing through their bodies.
You could see it puffing out of their noses as they talk.
I didn't include it, but it was Sizemore was arrested for domestic violence of Heidi Fleiss, who was dating at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Madam.
Yeah. A much better actor and does not get arrested all the time. Giancarlo Esposito. He's Jimmy Giles, who, funny enough, is from Denmark.
Okay.
His family moved to New York when he was 6 years old. In this movie, he looks like Jim said it best. We were watching the movie, and he was like, he looks like a reject from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
He had the jacket.
It was like, what is it? What was that choice? It was weird.
He had so much energy back then. He was always the guy, the guy that was just like, boo, He was like, he was just this ball of energy that was released upon the set.
He was a very handsome man.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, he's still a handsome man, but like, God, he's so good. Esposito is one of my favorite. He's probably most well known as Gus Fring in Breaking Bad and the prequel Better Call Saul. What most people don't know is that he's had a long career in the movies as well as TV, but we'll cover that in another show.
Okay.
A show where he has a little more screen time.
Sure.
Because God knows there's so many movies that he's in that we could cover. His feature debut was in Running in 1979, starring Michael Douglas. He appeared in unnamed roles in a number of 80s movies, including The Changeling in 1980, Taps in 1981, Trading Places in 1983. I think that's what I was thinking of when he was in jail.
Yes.
The Brother from Another Planet, The Cotton Club, and Go Tell It on the Mountain in 1984. Again, still playing unnamed roles.
Yeah.
Desperately Seeking Susan in 85, and Maximum Overdrive in 1986.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Which I did not realize he was in that.
Yes, he's sneakily in just about everything.
Yeah, it's just so funny because now, going back and seeing these scenes, it's like I didn't know about him until much later in his career.
Also, why? Okay, so there's Jack Daniels, Harley Davidson, Marlboro Man. There's
Virginia Slim, Jose Cuervo,
and yet Giancarlo Esposito's name is Jimmy Giles.
It's just like I think his father, who was the older guy that owned the bar, was called something else entirely.
The old man.
He's
credited as the old man. He doesn't have a name.
Yes. Yes.
I just don't understand why he wasn't like, Johnny Smirnoff or
right. Johnny Smirnoff. Well, he wasn't Russian.
Or
Jim Beam
or Captain Morgan or something.
Captain Morgan. He could have been Captain
He
Morgan.
looked like Captain Morgan.
He should have
with that
been
suit.
Captain Morgan.
Look, we should have been on that movie.
Jimmy, also otherwise known as Captain Morgan. God, if we had written that movie, it would have been a lot better.
Hey, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. We're going to be getting them riches. Arrgh.
So Esposito's breakthrough role was in School Days from Spike Lee in 1988. He would work with Spike Lee again and Do the Right Thing in 89.
Oh, my God. He is so good in that. Do the Right Thing is such an amazing movie. School Days is really weird. It's good.
It's an odd movie, yeah.
It's a musical about the fraternity system at HBCU. I think a fictional HBCU. It's got a great cast. It's just, it was just such a strange follow-up to She's Gotta Have It. Because it was She's Gotta Have It, then
and Do the Right Thing, and then Mo Better Blues in 90, and then Malcolm X in 92.
Mo Better Blues is might be after Do the Right Thing, my favorite Spike Lee movie. I think it's super underrated.
Yeah.
It's such a cool movie about jazz. It's a love letter to his dad, and because his dad, Spike's dad, was a jazz musician.
Yeah.
And Giancarlo Esposito is kind of the rival to Denzel's, jazz guy.
Yeah.
And it is, if you haven't seen that movie and you're a Spike Lee fan or a Giancarlo Esposito fan or a Denzel Washington fan, see it, because it's such a different movie for Spike, and I think one of his best movies. Yeah.
I actually, this is funny, one of my favorite Spike Lee movies is Inside Man.
Oh.
Because it was totally against everything he's done. Like, it was such a weird right turn, but it was so good. It was done well.
It's interesting to see Spike do other people's scripts, like 25th Hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a great movie, but a very interesting movie.
Right.
And I'd say same thing. Inside Man was really...
It was fine. I mean, it was flawed.
Sure, but it was a good Hollywood movie.
Directed it very well. Very well.
Spike's a genius.
Yeah, he is. Esposito has appeared in dozens of movies since Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. He's been nominated for a number of Emmy Awards, but hasn't won, and has never been nominated for an Oscar.
Huh.
I am outraged by this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what he would have been nominated for an Oscar for, but definitely Emmys.
The last Emmy he got nominated for was for The Mandalorian.
Really?
Actually. Yeah, he did not win.
He was so good at that.
But he got nominated for that. You're right. Maybe his Oscar-worthy movie hasn't happened yet.
Sure. It's just really funny, too, to see the beginnings of Giancarlo, where he was just like this wide-eyed, total energetic guy that just pops in.
So much energy.
To morph into being the consummate bad guy.
Yeah, the Gus Fring of the I'm doing everything with impeccable timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also in Mandalorian playing the bad guy. He's really good at playing the heavy now.
Yeah. He's such a good actor.
Well, he's been doing it forever.
He has.
And he's and it's just great to see him. I always love to see an actor who is so talented and has had such a long career finally get what they deserve.
Yes. Get the accolades and get the recognition.
Yeah, this guy deserves to have a career until the day he dies or the day he wants to retire.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
So, speaking of that, he's definitely still earning it. He'll be in 4 features in 2024.
Oh, wow.
Including Abigail, the horror movie about the kidnappers kidnapping a vampire child.
Interesting.
If you've not seen the trailer for that, it looks great.
Good. I haven't.
It looks like schlocky goodness. It's literally just like they kidnapped the wrong person. And then she has the biggest needle teeth I've ever seen. And it's just like, yeah.
All right.
It looks really fun.
I remember.
Maxine, the final installment of the X trilogy from Ty West.
I saw the first one of that.
I haven't seen either of those. X and then it's named after the character.
The character.
I can't remember her name.
Maddie or Haley or something.
Like that. I've not seen any of those. I've heard they're really good, but
I saw X. X was great. X to me had this really cool Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe. It really caught that 70s horror film. Really, this guy is great in terms of like old school horror.
Ty West is awesome.
Yeah. So I need to see the sequel, which name we can't remember. It's like Maxine,
Abigail,
Addie, or
something.
Anyway, we're idiots. Yeah. Now, if there was only a device we could use to look up things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm definitely going to watch that. And now that I know that he's in the third one, yeah. I saw the trailer for that. It looks really good.
Yeah. He's also going to be in the Electric State from the Russo brothers, who did all those Marvel movies.
The good ones.
Yeah. And he's going to be in Megalopolis, the long-fermenting indie film from Francis Ford Coppola.
Oof, yeah, I just read an article on that this morning. Screened for...
Cautious.
Bad.
I'm still going to see it.
Bad. Everybody's saying bad. Look, I love Francis Ford Coppola. I love him, but he got broken, and he hasn't made a really good movie in the last 30 years, unfortunately.
Well, we were talking a couple days ago about that Ripley, the new Netflix miniseries based off of the Patricia Highsmith novels.
Right.
And the first reviews I read were awful, and then everything since then has been like, yeah, this is doing things that like movies like Saltburn wish they could. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'd rather see it. and then decide.
Yeah.
But my only real issue with that is that they are supposed to be in their early 20s, and they're not.
No.
Like, obviously not. But Giancarlo Esposito will also be in 3 TV shows in 2024 because the man never stops working. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Marvel animated show, doing some voiceover.
Sounds cool.
The Gentleman on Netflix from Guy Ritchie, which is out already.
Have you watched that?
I have not watched it yet. I'm going to watch it before we get to the Stepdad show.
Okay.
And he's also in Parish, a crime drama currently airing on AMC.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
The more Giancarlo Esposito, the better.
Exactly. Vanessa Williams was cast as Lulu Daniels, the ingenue in the weird rock and roll bar.
So weird, because apparently she slept with Harley, which made her husband, Jack Daniels, very unhappy.
Yeah.
But now they're married. There was the weirdest fight.
It was very odd. I mean, he literally threw him out a window in like 3 stories into a car.
Jumped down into the car.
And then jumped into the car. I thought he had just crushed him.
Started strangling him, and then was like, I love you.
Yeah, and then they fought.
How could you do that to me, Harley?
Yeah.
How could you do that to me?
Because
I'm a jerk. I don't apologize.
It was weird. The whole thing.
She knows she was getting into.
Yeah.
It was my pants.
Williams gained recognition as the first African-American woman to receive the Miss America title when she was crowned Miss America in 1984, but in true 80s misogynistic fashion, she was forced to resign her title amid a media controversy surrounding nude photographs of her being published in Penthouse magazine.
Yes, the things she did when she was young and that were never published.
Could not. They said, nope, we can't have a black Miss America, so they had to begrudge her as much as possible.
So it was misogynistic racism.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, both. Yeah.
Double whammy there.
32 years later, Williams was offered a public apology during the Miss America 2016 pageant for the events.
Hopefully she said F you.
I hope she did too. Didn't matter, Vanessa Williams. You can't keep her down because she would, in 1988, release her debut studio album, The Right Stuff, with 2 singles that showed decent success.
Yeah, look, she overcame all that BS because I think people were sympathetic to her because that whole thing was just a railroad. It was disgusting.
It was, again, going back to like a current affair, an Inside Edition, just trumping all this stuff up and like making it like,
slut-shaming her. Yeah. And just, it was disgusting back then. Yeah.
Whatever. She can do whatever she wants. With her second and third studio albums, The Comfort Zone in 1991 and The Sweetest Days in 94, she saw continued commercial success and received multiple Grammy Award nominations.
Good for her.
She has released 2 other albums since then. Her first feature film debut was in The Pickup Artist in 1987, written and directed by Academy Award-winning writer James Toback, who won for Bugsy, writing Bugsy, starring Molly Ringwald and Robert Downey Jr.
He's got a lot of interesting things to say about Robert Downey Jr. Oh yeah, because they did a few movies together back, before Downey got sober. But
right.
He was saying that. And this is just him. This is not me saying this. But he was saying that once Downey got sober and his wife, who completely controls his life, like micromanages it down to the second, like wouldn't allow him to do indie stuff anymore because it was just, this was around the time of, Iron Man, and it was just like nothing but blockbusters.
Right.
And it was really heartbreaking because they were good friends.
Yeah.
And they had done a lot of collaborating together. And honestly, some of Downey's best work was with this guy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I get it, but it just seems, and it does make sense that, because everything that Downey Jr.'s done since then has been completely manufactured, and it's all, Dr. Dolittle and
right.
All these big, giant movies and trying to get franchises.
Huge budget movies. Yeah. Yeah.
He won the Oscar, right?
Yeah, he did. For Oppenheimer, yeah.
Did not like him in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Thought he was a cartoon villain. No. Makeup doesn't make a character.
No.
But apparently wins you an Oscar.
Yeah. Williams would appear in a handful of TV movies before being cast in Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man. Williams has continued to have a flourishing career, appearing in numerous TV shows and features, as well as doing Broadway work.
Great.
She was actually played, I think, Elphaba in Wicked. Not the original cast, but eventually on Broadway she was playing in Wicked.
Very cool.
Yeah, she's good. She's great. She most recently can be seen in the Robert Carlock and Tina Fey TV show Girls 5 Eva, which just released their 3rd season.
That looks really funny. That's been on my list for a while.
I have to watch that. I did not realize that it was Robert Carlock and Tina Fey. I'm a huge fan of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Paula Pell is one of the funniest human beings ever to grace the earth.
Yeah.
She is she used to write for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
She's just this absolutely hilarious wrecking ball of a human being. I absolutely adore her every time. I do not like watching interviews because, like I said, I want to know.
Right.
I don't like to know stuff about actors I like. Comedians, authors, politicians, that's a different story because they're usually talking about something. But I love watching on talk shows because it's all shtick. It's very funny, you know. It's not like she's coming out there to tell her tales of woe.
Right.
Oh God, I love her so much. Yeah, that's been on my list for a long time. I need to get into it.
Yeah, same. Tom Sizemore was cast as Chance Wilder, the bad guy. Sizemore appeared in 4 movies in 1989.
He was so skinny in this one.
Oh my God, so skinny.
He must have been in his methamphetamine phase.
Coke skinny, yeah. He was in Lock Up, starring Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, it was a movie about me in prison.
Rude Awakening, a comedy starring Cheech Marin and Eric Roberts.
That was actually pretty... Do you remember this movie?
No.
So this was around the time when everybody was making movies about flower children in the present.
Yeah.
And somehow Eric Roberts and Cheech Marin were like these hippies that disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
And then came back into real society. And it wasn't great. But Cheech Marin was really funny.
Yeah.
And it was just, there were so many of these movies that were like, there was one with Dennis Hopper. There was one, with Mel Gibson. It was either counterculture people who like did a bombing or something, back in the day.
Right.
Somehow running from the law, or flower children frozen in time or something, and
somehow
then thawed out in the
missing 50 or 20 years, and then suddenly
fish out of water. Oh, peace and love, brother. Oh, he
was also in Penn and Teller Get Killed. Have you seen Penn and Teller Get Killed?
Oh yeah.
I was a hair's breadth away from buying that on DVD yesterday because it's not available anywhere.
Really?
It is the most bizarre movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
But the ending is so messed up.
I love them so much.
So good. I mean, I shouldn't say good because the movie's really not good.
No, but it's interesting. And look, I've seen them a few times. I once, when I saw them, there was like a reception afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
And so we were hanging out with Penn and Teller, and Penn, the one that doesn't talk.
No, Teller.
No, Teller, who doesn't talk.
Yeah.
That MFer was the gabbiest mother effer I had. It was basically like, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
Because I gets it all out. He was so funny though. I mean, they were both super nice, really great.
Yeah.
Like it was so much fun to get to meet them and talk to them. And
Teller actually came to our friend Jana's show in Vegas.
Oh, nice. Good.
When it ran in October, which is now running again. I think coming up this summer.
Nice.
But yeah, he came and he was a very nice guy. Loved the show.
Great.
Yeah. Apparently he does talk a lot, considering his character does not. And Tom Sizemore was also in Born on the 4th of July in 1989. This is what fascinates me, is that he literally had not been in a feature until Lock Up, which came out in like August of '89, and then he was in 4 movies.
Yeah.
Like all before the end of the year.
Well, he was Tarantino really liked him. Used him a lot. Mm-hmm. He was just Tony Scott. Yeah. He was always.
He was in a ton of stuff.
He was in everything. There was Tom Sizemore, man, and it's just weird. He must have been a nice guy.
Yeah.
People gave him so many chances. This was just. It's addiction is a disease, people.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Do not blame addicts. I mean, look, people have to take responsibility for what they do, but you don't blame a guy with cancer for losing his arm. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like there's.
the arm cancer?
Yes,
the very prevalent arm cancer.
Look, man, you don't want to get arm cancer.
No, you don't want to lose that arm.
But what I'm saying is,
no, you don't blame somebody if if they suddenly have cancer, you're not blaming them for that. Like, it just happens.
It's a disease.
You have to figure out how to deal with it and possibly get past it. So, unfortunately, like Daniel Baldwin, Sizemore would become more well-known for his substance abuse than the many, many movies and the good acting that he's done.
This is the problem, man. Back in the day, whether it was substance abuse or mental breakdowns, Hollywood was just vicious.
Oh, awful.
You know, you look at poor Britney Spears and what they put her through, or Amanda Bynes, or Tom Sizemore, or, you know, Daniel Baldwin, any of these people that have it's just like this glee of destroying these people.
Yeah, look at the people that you hold the most cherished. Look at how they're real and they're awful.
What a horrible person.
They're awful.
Yeah, it does blame them for their addictions, and it does blame them for their mental illness, and it was a disgusting period of time.
It was awful. The whole Britney Spears thing just really irks me.
Oh, my God.
That just drives me nuts. Her driving around the San Fernando Valley, stopping and shaving her head in front of paparazzi. It's like, what are you all doing?
Just to cry for
She's
help.
having a friggin' breakdown.
Craig Ferguson, who had a talk show at the time, had the best take on that, and he was just like, I'm not going to make fun of Britney Spears. You're watching this person go through a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
And you're disgusting. And he's the only person that aged well in that whole debacle because he, from
personal experience.
He knew how horrible it was to go through addiction and go through a mental breakdown. And
he's an amazing, brilliant man.
Oh, my God. Nicest guy. I was on a game show.
Yeah.
Celebrity Name Game that he hosted. Nicest guy ever. So sweet. Gave him a big old hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we won.
You won. You won a lot.
Yeah, we won $20,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, just be kind to people that are dealing with mental issues and substance issues because it's not their fault. You got to walk a mile in somebody's shoes before you kick them in the ass. That's what I always say. That's what my daddy said before he left this this hateful earth or whatever Don Johnson said.
So in 2007, VH1 started airing the reality series Shooting Sizemore, which depicted Sizemore's struggle to regain his career and addictions to methamphetamine and heroin.
Yeah.
Sizemore also participated in other reality series related to his addiction, including Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew and Celebrity Rehab Presents Sober House.
That, again, my God, what...
Yeah, hey, here's a bunch of people that are addicted to stuff. Let's all throw them in a house and film it.
Yeah, that's what killed...
Jeff Conway. I mean, that's what eventually killed him, was being on these stupid shows.
And the pressure of that, too, while you're going through all of this in a fishbowl. And people are like, well, they decided to sign on. Well, these people weren't in their right minds to sign on, you know? It's
exactly.
F you, Dr. Drew. You.
All of those shows are very awful. So Sizemore was in 11 movies in 2022. I mean, literally 11 movies, and had 3 movies released after he died. On February 18th, 2023, Sizemore suffered a brain aneurysm at his Los Angeles home and was hospitalized at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in critical condition. On February 27th, Sizemore's representative issued a statement indicating the doctors had determined that there was no further hope for Sizemore to recover and had recommended end-of-life decisions to his family. He ended up dying on March 3rd, 2023 at the age of 61.
Oh, that's so young. And was he sober at this point? Was this just life catching up to him?
Yeah. I think at this point he was. I think he'd been sober since like 2019.
Yeah. It was a lifelong struggle for this poor guy.
He did I think he got arrested for drug paraphernalia in 2019. So I think after that,
that guy had a lot of anger issues. He had a lot of stuff going on.
But he was so good at the parts that he played.
Oh my God.
He was so good.
He was amazing in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And in all the not Tarantino, all of the Oliver Stone movies he was in. I mean, he was in so many Oliver Stone movies.
Yeah.
And he just was he always delivered, you know, because there was always that little bit of
it was he that little bit of crazy. Yeah, it's like you
don't know what's going to happen with him. You know, it's like it was unpredictable. But he, again, just it just
sucks. Yeah. So other notable actors in Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, Robert Ginty, the helicopter pilot who was the lead in The Exterminator in 1980. Tia Carrere.
Well, no, he was in that, and he was also in Loverboy.
Oh, yeah.
With Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
He was a staple in a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah, yeah.
He looks super familiar. He's just got that weird face.
Yeah. Tia Carrere, who most people will know from Wayne's World. Big John Studd is Jack Daniels, who was a pro wrestler.
Big John Studd, yep. He was
huge.
He was married to Lulu Daniels, Vanessa Williams, which was such an odd couple.
So weird.
Because it's like they didn't... His character, he was like... Part of it was Big Dumb Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
But then he was also kind of... They didn't know what to do with this poor guy.
No, he wasn't written terribly well. And the
Really?
fact there was only one scene between the two of them. Like they're married and they showed affection one time. And
Yeah, and the whole thing was like it was all there for him to be like, I can't do it, guys, because the wife won't let me. And then he does it, and you don't tell her, and then bang, 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 he's dead.
Julius Harris was the old man Giles, who he was owned the bar, the bar that had the plane crash into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was in everything, man. That guy, once you see his face.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He was probably most well known for blaxploitation films like Superfly, Black Caesar, and Hell Up in Harlem.
He was also in that James Bond movie that took place in was it Louisiana, that had all the voodoo and had the crisp and clean, no coffee.
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, he was in that.
Okay. Eloy Casados as Jose Cuervo, who played Ishi in the NBC TV movie Ishi, The Last of His Tribe in 1978.
Okay.
He was the guy who couldn't talk because he got his throat cut.
Yeah.
Kelly Hu cast as Susie. She was the convenience store clerk that Harley Davidson saves from the guys who have the giant, expensive guns.
Yeah, the guy that has like these 2-bit hoods who are robbing some convenience store for $15 have like a $5,000 Desert Eagle pistol.
Huge gun.
Yeah, this was we're in the middle of the fetishization of guns.
This is showing you how far that these movies have gone from 86 and Running Scared, where they stop two guys that have makeshift like pop guns that could still hurt, and kill you. But they literally built them themselves to these Desert Eagles that are... Because apparently in 1996, it was all the rage.
Well, 38s were the police standard gun for years and years and years, and that's what they used. It was just, people didn't have these giant guns with laser sights.
Not even then. I mean, the two hoods that they catch,
they have
zip
guns.
Like, zip guns. Yeah. I mean... Those were realistic bad guys because they had zip guns.
Exactly. They didn't have the money to buy a $1 million pistol.
$5,000-$6,000 gun.
But even that one, they jammed in those Uzi pistols.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, but that was the Jimmy Smiths and the higher up. Anyway, listen to our Nothing Scared.
Nothing Scared.
Listen to a Running Scared episode. Kelly Hu actually made her debut in Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan in 1989, which I always forget that movie was still in the 80s.
Yeah.
They made so many of those.
I know.
She's actually had a long career. She's doing a lot of TV work now.
Yeah.
She was Miss Teen USA in like 86 or 87 or something.
Got a couple of beauty queens in the cast. They didn't give, let's be honest, they didn't give Vanessa Williams anything to do except sing. At least she got to sing.
Yeah. Branscombe Richmond is Big Indian, who Don Johnson accidentally knocked out with a billiard ball in their fight scene.
For real?
He actually hit him for real.
Oh, no. They didn't use a fake?
Apparently not.
What a bunch of dummies.
But yeah, he actually got knocked out.
Poor guy.
He's been in a ton of stuff. Like he's another one of those character actors that you see all the time.
Yeah, I remember him most from Renegade.
Yeah.
With
Lorenzo
Lamas. I think I was on Renegade as an extra, or I worked a day as a PA.
Oh.
Yeah, this guy was super nice.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Lamas, not so much.
Yeah.
But maybe he was just having a bad day.
That's true. Sven Olthorsen as David. He was another one of the
Trenchcoat Mafia guys. Better way to say it.
He is close friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's appeared with him in a handful of movies.
Oh, he's a good friend of mine. Sometimes he was my stunt double.
I always appreciated him as in The Running Man as the he's the big like guard
Oh, yeah.
with the tiny little accountant dude. He's like, you gotta sign this, and then he jams it in his back, and the guard's like, nah.
I love Sven Thorson. Anytime he ever showed up, he's just got like this mischievous look on his face.
Yeah.
He looks like he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I just want to have brats and beer.
Oh yeah, with him and Schwarzenegger.
With him and Schwarzenegger, he could bring his goat and his donkey with him. I get those treats. I swear, man, I'm sorry about the speed bump, but I can't stop watching videos of Arnold with his little
animals?
baby. Is not baby, but his miniature.
Goats?
No, they're not goats. He has a miniature horse and a miniature donkey.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And they're always at the table with him, and he's like eating, and he'll feed them, and be like, "This is mine." But
it's the very weird YouTube rabbit hole you've gone.
It's the cutest thing I've ever seen, man. It makes me love Arnold so much more. They're just with him all the time. These two things. It's it's adorable. I want that life. I just want a house with a bunch of animals and no humans.
Yeah.
Well, you can come.
Wow, thanks. I was going to say thanks, man. Wow.
Yeah, you and Phoebe can hang out because she likes animals too.
The Rockin' soundtrack featured music from
Copperhead, Peter Frampton, Shooting Gallery, L.A. Guns, Waylon Jennings, and Vanessa Williams. Really?
And Bon Jovi, although it wasn't included on the actual soundtrack.
He's a cowboy, waiting to ride.
On a steel horse I ride.
I don't know
The
that song.
opening of this opening, yeah.
Bon Jovi's very handsome.
He is.
My favorite thing that Bon Jovi ever did, it was a really bad movie. It was that submarine movie, U-571 or something.
Okay.
And the best...
He was in that?
Mm-hmm. And the best part about that movie is he gets hit with like a cannonball or something, and it blows his head, like literally takes his head off. And it was like, yeah.
Why do you hate Bon Jovi?
I don't hate Bon Jovi. I don't like his music. But I like Bon Jovi as a human. He's very handsome, and of course he's talented. But I never got.
They were fine. I mean, they
Southern
were,
Fried Rock. To me, is garb. Like, I can't stand Leonard Skinner.
Oh, no.
I blow my brains out if I have to hear Freebird, 45-minute long Southern rock anthem.
The funny thing is, Bon Jovi's from New Jersey.
I know. He's a hairbander.
I know.
So I just want to talk about the soundtrack for 1 second. The weird thing about this movie, and this is what I noticed, is there's so little music in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's parts where it's like, what?
Why is it so quiet?
I thought something was wrong with the soundtrack. It was like, oh.
And I think if they would have had more music, an actual soundtrack, it might have propelled the movie a little bit more and given it some more energy.
I don't think they even had somebody actually score the movie.
They did. I forget his name. It was something.
It was like Basil Poliduris.
Sure.
Yes.
It was
actually, Basil Poliduris.
That's amazing.
I don't know why I remember that.
Because it's such a weird name. But yeah, I mean, but it was so...
there was definitely
innocuous.
It was not edited properly. The music was not edited properly, and I don't know, because there was definitely times where I was like, well, maybe we should check it and see if it's bad. Like it was just odd. It was odd.
I think that was part of the problem with like how it felt weirdly paced and how it just felt kind of weird.
Yes, I agree.
Is because there was no musical accompaniment to tell us how to feel.
Yeah, I got to have a guidepost.
Exactly.
So the film only made $7 million from a $23 million budget, making it a huge flop.
Oh, yeah.
Critics weren't very kind either. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly rated it a C+ and called it
a kinetic formula shoot-'em-up, engagingly junky entertainment with a healthy sense of its own ludicrousness.
Actually, that sounds kind of positive.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not all that wrong. I mean, it's, again, it should have just been a straight Western.
I agree. Vincent Canby of the New York Times wrote...
Mr. Rourke and Mr. Johnson handle their roles with more ease and humor than can be accommodated by a movie so stuffed with mindless fistfights, gunfights, helicopter chases, explosions, and leaps from tall buildings.
All right. I mean,
he liked them, didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty spot on.
Sure. Again, this is not a good movie.
No.
There's reason why they called guilty pleasure.
Johnson and Rourke have spoken negatively of the film. Rourke cited the film as the beginning of his decline in mainstream Hollywood. I mean, he only did one other movie after this before he started boxing again.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, Johnson, while promoting the film, gave a tongue-in-cheek interview where he was quoted as saying,
"If you're a fan of mindless action, if you don't have a single brain cell in your head, this is the film for you."
I distinctly remember him. It was like he was at like on a
Press junket?
No, it was like on the red carpet or something. Like I remember him just being like, then kind of laughing and walking away.
Well, he's always been, pretty honest about what's going on.
I think for me, part of the issue is that we covered this after Tango and Cash.
Sure.
And Tango and Cash was just so joyous and so ridiculous. And this just was kind of lackluster.
Well, because unfortunately, the two main characters aren't as joyous and boisterous and fun as Tango and Cash, or even Running Scared.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Even though they were best buddies and, we saw that bond, and especially at the end when they gave each other hugs, it's just I didn't understand why they were friends.
Yeah.
I knew why Billy Crystal and
Gregory
Hines were friends. I knew why Tango and Cash were together.
Yeah.
I
mean, we saw them come together, yeah.
But it just kind of starts and ends with Mickey Rourke on his bike.
Yeah.
Picking
up the girl from the picture.
Somehow.
Made no sense.
No sense. It's like, what? Is this mystical?
Yeah. It's like a weird, did this movie actually happen?
Yeah. Did it?
I mean, it did.
But it really depends on if you like Don Johnson and if you like Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
And if you like goofy action.
If you like Don Johnson, highly recommend watching this. Because he's great in it.
And Mickey Rourke's great too. He's a little more uneven. I think he's was kind of bored, it seemed.
Yeah. I don't think he was
not engaged.
He was not challenged by the script at all.
But again, it's not really his fault because they didn't give him a lot to do. There's not a lot of backstory. No. There's not a lot of, character development. It's just kind of, here's these guys. They have all these friends and love this bar. And then they decide, since the bar owes $2.5 million somehow, who's keeping track of that, by the way? You let it get that out of control because that's a lot of money back in the 90s.
Yeah.
They decide to rob a bank. They've never robbed a bank before, never killed anybody before. So it seemed really out. Like if these guys, because it kind of set it up like these guys used to be some sort of heist crew or something.
Well, that's kind of what I thought, but then it was like, no, they're really not. Like they obviously, I mean, because Harley slept with Lulu, so obviously they've known each other for a while, and even from the end of the movie when. The Marlboro Man is like, hey, are you going to stay this time?
Yeah.
Or, why don't you come with me? No. And then they part ways, and it's like, that's it. It's
and then they'll see each other again in 3 years.
They've done that 100 times.
Exactly. He's a wanderer, Mickey Rourke. Unfortunately, the script was thin. They didn't really flesh out the relationship between these two guys.
The script was just so lazy. And it's just sad, because there was a possibility of a really good movie.
Yes. And it should have been a Western. It should have been two cowboys that ride together. Here's how I would have done it if I would have done Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man. I would have had it be a full-on straight Western from back in the day.
Yeah.
I would have had Harley Davidson, Marlboro Man, and these other guys. They used to be, almost like the Red Dead Redemption crew.
Yeah, a crew. Yeah.
A crew of bank robbers or train robbers or whatever. They all broke apart. And, the guy that was their leader, opened up a bar.
Yeah.
And now, there's a land guy that's coming to grab the bar and take over the town. Right. You got a little bit of Pale Rider in there. And then these guys come in and, and you got a little bit of Magnificent Seven and, all this kind of stuff going on. Because it would have worked much better as a straight Western because you don't need a bunch of backstory or...
Well, yeah, and the weirdness with it being set 5 years in the future, making Burbank this weird
international
city
airport
with high rises and stuff. It was wait, this is all in 5 years?
The Concorde now lands?
None of it made sense. It was unnecessary. It was just totally unnecessary.
Anybody who lives in Los Angeles, or especially the Valley, knows how tiny the Burbank airport is.
It's the only airport in California or Southern California that you can literally walk up to 10 minutes before your flight leaves.
Yes.
And get on and leave.
And one where you have to walk on the tarmac and walk
actually,
upstairs.
There's no,
And they also plane and deplane from both the front and the back
and the
of the
front
plane.
And the back,
it's the best airport in the world.
It's great.
I will only fly out of that airport.
I'm just disappointed they changed the name from the Bob Hope airport.
What is it now?
Burbank Airport.
Oh, poor Bob. But look, is it Tango and Cash? No.
No.
Is it even Running Scared?
No.
No. But it is a good, again, time capsule of the time.
Oh, it is, definitely.
Because they were... for some reason, the early 90s, people were obsessed with the near future. It was always like 97.
Here's something that's happening in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Strange Days was like that.
Yeah.
And Predator 2 was like that. I think that took place in 97.
Yeah.
There were all these just future enough so we can have weird drugs or something. And that's another thing. The Jello drugs.
drugs.
I think that these weird he bounced. This drug that you put in your eyes that's 100% addictive
and kills one out
of 7 people. It's like,
that's the drug I want to try.
Exactly. That's going to take. And it's like, well, heroin isn't even that bad. And that's another thing from the 90s, because it was, we're at the tail end of the Dare, just say no era. And it's like drugs in movies were just, the most ridiculous, it is 1,000% addictive. And if you take one thing, you're going to die or go blind or whatever. And it's like, it's really was insulting to drug addicts.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, look, we don't want to kill ourselves. We just want to feel good.
I've been doing heroin for 10 years. What are you talking about?
10. I'm looking at you, Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
But this would be a good double feature with, I don't know, The Hot Spot. I don't know. You pick something from the 90s. Maybe Strange Days, which isn't a very good movie.
No.
With Ralph Fiennes.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I mean, you're right. It's definitely a time capsule of the early 90s and just a bellwether of the crap that was to come.
Yeah, and it's a sad, ending to Mickey Rourke's chapter as a handsome leading man. And, get your friends, watch it, have some beers,
do some drinks.
Daniel Baldwin and
smoke a little bit, and just do the riff tracks, do the MST3K, and just chat through it. It's fine.
Yep.
The funny parts you'll still find funny, and there's some good action sequences. Yes. I mean, they're a little goofy, but it's a fun party movie.
It's a lost movie in the pantheon of crappy action movies from the last century. And there's so many of them that it's easy to get lost. But there are definitely things to enjoy in this. And the number one would be Don Johnson, I think. That guy is just amazing.
He's a treasure.
I love him. But that's the end of Other Buddies.
That's our Other Buddies month. Yeah. We'll be back next week with our Stepdad show.
Oh, yeah.
Correct all the things we got wrong.
Oh, my God. Daniel Baldwin's alive!
So we'll see you then.
Yeah. Hey. Harley Davidson.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to turn off the movie.
Right. Oh, my God. Bob never showed up. We got through it.
Yeah, it's because I said Hurricane Bob was named after me. Got mad. I saw him down pouting in the station wagon.
Hey, guys.
Oh, nope. We're done. All right, bye.
Hey, guys.
No.
Damn it. Where's my kids?
Rourke had been selected to the Actors Studio in his first audition, which, I must say this wrong every time, Elia. Ugh. Daniel something. She's great, actually. She's great.
But my God, they made her
Panabaker. Daniel Panabaker.
Thank you. No, that's not her.
Okay.
No, but I know who you're talking about, but...
that's not her.
Wayne's World, party on, it's a deal. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Blossom, already in progress.